Question, should I eat this before or after I run?
I am 100% a morning runner. I love getting out early and ticking off my run, but I also value sleep. So that often means I set my alarm minutes before I have to be out the door, and so breakfast usually comes after my run.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I make sure I get my evening runs in, which means I get 2 meals before I go out and get my run. Is one better for you though?
Well, first off, let's talk about what fasted running actually is. So studies count fasted running as running after not consuming food for a period of 10 to 14 hours. So running in the morning before you have breakfast counts, but running in the evening before you've had dinner when you've only had lunch a few hours before doesn't count.
There have been countless studies as to whether you should have breakfast before or after a run, and we're just gonna have a look at what the science says today.
What happens to your body when you run though?
So your body needs energy to run, and this fuel comes from your glycogen reserves, which is where your body stores carbs, or it can come from your fat reserves, or it can come from you using your protein as well.
And what your body uses for energy can depend on different factors.
Yes, one of those factors is the intensity of the workout. If you're doing higher intensity work, your body leans towards using your carbohydrate sources, whereas if you're using a lower intensity when you're working out, your body will use fat sources as fuel.
Another factor that can affect this is fasted running. The theory being that if you haven't eaten for a while and your glycogen stores are a bit depleted, then your body might turn to your fat reserves instead.
Another source is actually your protein reserves, but we really don't want to use this, and we'll get onto why that's a bad thing a little later on.
So the biggest questions I had before looking into this were, number one, is fasted running going to make me faster as a runner? And number two, is it going to make me burn more fat? There are so many articles online about fasted running for weight loss, but I think it's time to distinguish whether this is a myth or not.
See, I had those exact questions, so let's today have a look at the perceived benefits and negatives of fasted running.
So starting off with the positives of fasted running. First up, it's convenience. This is often my reason for not eating before a run. I prioritise sleep in for a little bit longer, and then just get straight out the door rather than eating before going out for a run.
This ties into another potential positive of fasted running. Some people, when they run with breakfast in their bellies, they tend to get stomach upsets. So what they can do is do fasted running, and that's less likely to cause any stomach issues.
Another reason for fasted running is that you could potentially train your body to turn to your fat stores rather than your glycogen reserves. Reason for this is that it's going to help you become more sustainable because you've got a more sustainable source of energy. Your glycogen reserves don't last as long as your other reserves, so this is why you often need to refuel in a longer run or a marathon, for example.
Physiological changes of fasted running can impact your mitochondria, which is how the cells in your body produce energy, which has been linked to improving insulin regulation and lowering your cholesterol levels.
Another positive of fasted running is that it could lead to a change in body composition, and some studies have shown that it can help with weight loss, but keep watching as this isn't the whole picture. Now this is important. There is a huge difference between fasted running and then fueling properly after your run compared to being in an overall calorie deficit, not fueling your runs properly either due to not eating enough or overtraining. You need to make sure that you are fueling your runs properly, or it could lead to a whole load of complications or different syndromes like RED-S.
RED-S stands for Relative Energy Deficiency in Sport. There is not a lot known about RED-S as it's a fairly new condition. However, it has led to detrimental impact on the body. It has been linked to things like weaker immune systems, lower levels of energy, and has been linked to the loss of menstruation in female athletes.
Now back to fasted running and some of the negatives. Now this isn't a definite negative, but it's important to raise that there's no guarantee that fasted running is going to lead to any changes in either running performance or weight loss. In fact, a study in 2017 found that there was trivial evidence to body mass change in fasted versus non-fasted running.
Another negative of fasted running is that it isn't shown to be best for long aerobic runs. A study from 2018 showed that eating before exercising enhanced performance over a prolonged period of time. So if you're looking to run for longer than 60 minutes, you might want to get some breakfast in beforehand so you'll be able to maintain that pace and effort compared to not having breakfast.
And if you want to run faster or harder, for example in an interval session or for a race, you need to make sure that you're fueling correctly because your body is going to be relying on carbohydrates to do this high intensity effort. And plus, if you're going to be training for a marathon, whether you're on your long runs out training or in the race itself, you're going to need to be fueling during those runs as well to keep you going. It will make you feel both mentally and physically stronger and help reduce the risk of injury.
Remember that protein we were talking about earlier? Well, a study from the Strength and Conditioning Journal showed that fasted cardio led to an increased protein breakdown compared to when running after eating.
So if you're looking to build muscle, then fasted running all the time is not going to help do this. So the question is, should I be eating this before or after my run?
Well, we've just gone through the positives and negatives of fasted running, so I think ultimately it's up to you. Some people prefer mixing up their training, so sometimes they run fasted, sometimes not, depending on the kind of training they're doing. We're only doing a small 5K today, so I think there's no harm in sticking to what you know. However, if you do not eat it, you're not going to get any faster.
Very true. So it looks like my alarm is safe for now, although this definitely has made me rethink my early morning track sessions. I'd usually just wake up and get straight out, but if you're running hard laps of the track, you need to be fueling beforehand.
100%. So let us know about you. Are you a fasted runner, or do you eat breakfast before you go out on a run? Let us know in the comments below, and if you want to see some delicious, nutritious suggestions, just click this box right here.